He's a 31-year-old sales manager, marketing specialist, co-host, Polkadot Ambassador from San Antonio, Texas. Recently has signed on with TalkPolkadot media brand to help bring awareness to the Polkadot Kusama ecosystem and to help facilitate more streamlined process in gathering and sourcing accurate information. Some of you, certainly the people that are working on Unit here know, but some of you may not know that Unit is built on Polkadot. It's built on Substrate, feeding into the Polkadot as a parachain, or maybe just a parathread. We'll see, feeding into the Polkadot relay chain. So yeah, it's a good way to end the Binance Smart Chain Forum for Unit, is to connect it back to Polkadot. So please take it away. Oh, can't hear you.
Can y'all hear me now? Okay. Sorry about that. My son got a hold of my headset, and it's not doing too good. So, but that's very interesting. I actually I wasn't aware that Unit was built with Substrate. It just goes to show you kind of how diverse Polkadot and Substrate is. And I just wanted to touch on the fact, I realized this was a Binance forum, and it's kind of put on this last minute, but since I am an ambassador, I think the best thing, to bring it back to is Polkadot at the end of the day, because there's a lot of new things happening on Polkadot. They just had their parachain auction begin November 11th, and almost 7% of the supply has been locked up in support of projects launching on Polkadot. So this is really a good time to kind of see what's going on in the ecosystem. I realize Polkadot isn't as popular as some other blockchains, so some people might not be familiar with what it is. I did set up like a little slideshow just to kind of hit the basics. I think right now Polkadot is really looking to expand, and in order to do that, we definitely need more users, but more importantly, we need more developers. 153 projects right now are looking for a home, and with how Polkadot works, only 100 parachains available. So there's going to be a lot of competition, but overall, I think that's going to be healthy. So let's go ahead and get started on the slideshow. We'll go ahead and let's see. Alrighty, so Polkadot, the blockchain of blockchains. Now, if you're familiar, a big reason why it's called the blockchain of blockchains is because it revolves around communication. Oops, sorry. So what is Polkadot? I think the three best things to describe it would be cross-chain communication, shared security, and decentralization. Now, as a blockchain, it's built to connect and secure unique blockchains, whether they be public, permissionless networks, private consortium chains, oracles, or other Web3 technologies. It enables an internet where independent blockchains can exchange information under common securities and an envisioned Web 3.0 infrastructure. Now, how does it work? Substrate, and in a nutshell, it pretty much is the blockchain development software behind Polkadot. Dr. Gavin Wood created this. He's the author of the Solidity smart contract language, which I'm sure everyone here is a little familiar with in Ethereum. So him and Parity Tech have pretty much done a tremendous job, in my opinion, in creating and developing the software. Its design enables devs to quickly and easily future-proof blockchains for any use case. It's a flexible and modular framework, and it's highly customizable. So I know a big thing right now is the blockchain trilemma, scalability, security, and decentralization. And like when trying to kind of like optimize one thing or the other, like you're going to compromise one of the other aspects. And in that sense, I understand that developing a blockchain can be kind of hard. I'm not a developer myself, so I realize it's like really hard. But Substrate like gives devs the framework to kind of focus on which one they want to, which one would best help their platform. So just going over my notes to stay on track. One of the big projects right now that's currently running on for Parachain auction is Moonbeam, and they actually helped Parity develop the Frontier Palette EVM and Palette Ethereum. Both of these host the logic of the Ethereum virtual machine and account management. And Moonbeam has also developed a custom-built staking palette that any parachain can pretty much use to help allow users to stake and like back the parachain security, or collators, excuse me. Moonbeam added Substrate's democracy palette as well to their runtime, and it allows for like a pretty easy flowing governance structure. They added almost the same code base to their Canary network, Moonriver. Interesting thing about Canary networks are that they allow kind of like testing, but with real economic value and impact. So it provides almost like a better experimental ground to test your blockchain on. So how is it implemented? Well, I would say that there's like 4 main factors for how Polkadot is implemented. And the main blockchain is called the relay chain. Now, this is what the parachains and everything like that connect to. It's how cross-chain messaging protocol sends messages and receives them. It's what secures everything pretty much. And this was, what was built with Substrate. Now, for securing the main relay chain, Polkadot uses a nominal proof of stake consensus mechanism. It's something that Dr. Gavin Wood kind of like fine-tuned, and it provides a pretty interesting way of staking for the network. Now, this allows nominators to vote for validators, and it allows validators to do kind of like the heavy lifting of the network, and it rewards both for helping secure everything. Now, I know that bringing finance to underprivileged or people, unbanked people, is a big thing, and I think staking is a great opportunity for users to like be able to do that for themselves while providing value to the network. Pretty much anyone can do it at that point. And I know it's not just Polkadot that provides that kind of opportunity, but the way that Polkadot does it is kind of unique with the nominal proof of stake system. So with the parachains, the network actually uses a sharded model, which if you paid attention to Ethereum 2.0, that's kind of the route they're going. Cosmos, AVAX, I believe. Those are all going to be sharded models. Now in Polkadot's network, they're going to be called parachains, and they allow transactions pretty much to be processed in parallel instead of sequentially, because sequentially can be kind of slower. Now, each parachain in the network has a unique state transition function, and Polkadot as a relay chain acts as like the main thing that brings it all together. Based on Polkadot's design, as long as the chain's logic can compile to WebAssembly and adhere to the relay chain API, then it can connect to Polkadot. WebAssembly is really interesting. It allows for smart contracts to be written in C++, Rust, anything like that. So it really opens up the kind of developers that can come in and work on the blockchain. And I think that's one of Polkadot's biggest strengths right there. We'll see in the future how advantageous that will be, in my opinion. Now, one of the other big advantages of Polkadot is network upgrades, and those are deployed via vote from coin holders and council members. And if you look at Polkadot, the most recent vote actually enacted parachain auctions and went ahead and deployed them. So other networks can take years to govern changes, and you end up having a lot of forks and everything like that. But with Polkadot, generally upgrades take anywhere from weeks to months, and that is another advantage that it has. I believe to this date, 30 upgrades have been deployed without a single fork happening. So it's definitely interesting to see kind of like how legacy blockchains have kind of had a lot of these forks versus the newer blockchains. Now they're kind of going for upgradability, and it allows for an easier time in the scalability avenue. So I would say this is the best visual representation of kind of how Polkadot works. You have the relay chain, which is like the main source. The validators kind of secure the network, and the paired chains will like connect to the validators. Collators, they just kind of compile blocks for the validators to validate. They're not really necessary for security, but they're a big part of feeding information to the relay chain from the pair chains. So just to kind of give you like a little overview of what exactly collators do. All the information they send to the validator gets verified. And there we go. Now, why does all this matter? I think a big thing in 2021 that we realized was that the legacy blockchains, upgrading and forking can cause a lot of drama and volatility in the markets, and that can be enjoyable for some people, but it definitely wasn't enjoyable for all people. I think communication really can be the key to success or failure in today's industry. And with that in mind, I feel that the interoperability between blockchains is definitely going to be the future. And this is a big advantage that Polkadot has because they have a cross-chain messaging protocol. It's called XCMP that allows the pair chains to talk to one another. And this is a big advantage, as we've seen with the Canary network Kusama, as Bifrost and Karura, two projects that are pair chains on Kusama. They were actually able to send like arbitrary data to each other, which doesn't really get enough attention because everyone's looking to make a big rate of return, and I think it kind of is being slept on with the kind of information that can be sent. It's not just like a token anymore. It's arbitrary data that can be sent. So it opens up a lot of avenues for private consortium chains, like a hospital running its own chain or anything like that. Another thing that we've seen with Polkadot's Canary network is that it allows for a lot of experimentation, and this experimentation will have like real economic impacts that actually want to affect the main network. Kusama had a few issues where like the whole network went down, and it didn't really affect Polkadot any. And when they went and fixed these issues, they were able to deploy a fix on Polkadot as well without anything bad happening. And so I see that as a major advantage for these blockchains that deploy on substrate. Now, I know a lot of layered solutions exist, and these can eat up a lot of network resources. And so just building a blockchain from the ground up that has the ability to communicate with the other blockchains that will be built surrounding it isn't going to eat up as much resources for the network. So in a proof of work and proof of stake systems, blockchains compete with each other over these resources to secure their networks. We've seen that they're easily attacked until they develop like a significant community to support the network. So Polkadot does take a different approach by letting blockchains pool that security. And that actually means that the security is aggregated and applied to all equally. Now, that's something that kind of sets it apart from the other sharded models that are available right now, is that whichever pair chains or parallel blockchains connect are going to get the same exact security. Whereas I believe on a few other networks, you're only as strong as like the weakest weakest secure network on that that network's version of a parallel chain. So this is advantageous for developers because by connecting to Polkadot, devs can secure their blockchain from day one, having to devote less resources to security and being able to kind of focus more on innovation and just kind of adoption. Because I know that's like the biggest thing right now is adopting or getting your blockchain adopted. It's a big reason we've seen kind of the entire market the way it is, because we've seen massive adoption by institutions, and we are seeing a similar but smaller, obviously smaller scale on Polkadot happening slowly but surely right now, as more and more institutions kind of pile in and are seeing the advantages of having a blockchain built from the ground up that can communicate with other blockchains easily. So I think those are definitely the reasons that Polkadot matters. Now, for some practical use cases, just to give you some examples, you know, a lot of this stuff sounds too good to be true, and I realize that, but it's already been proven on Kusama. They have 13 parachains live right now, and all of them, or I should say most of them, provide something unique to the network. So Kusama is a canary network for Polkadot. It allows for experimentation. A lot of projects run a Kusama version of their project before making before going to Polkadot and actually deploying their main net. It allows for early detection of flawed code for the main network, and it was able to test out the XCMP, or cross-chain messaging protocol, between the two substrate networks. Now, some of the big projects on Kusama, if you haven't heard, Moonriver is probably the biggest, and it's an EVM smart contracts platform that was pretty much built with Substrate. And Moonbeam and Moonriver are the same team, and so the information I was telling you that Moonbeam went over and built for Substrate, pretty much it's the same thing for Moonriver. Now, Moonriver saw an explosion in popularity earlier this year once they launched on Kusama's mainnet. It just saw massive adoption and a price explosion, and I think a lot of people saw the value of having an Ethereum virtual machine like on your network. Another big name in the ecosystem is Shiden. Their Polkadot name is Astar, and they're the WebAssembly and EVM smart contracts platform. Like I said earlier, WebAssembly is going to be a unique way to write smart contracts, or not a unique way, excuse me, a very fluid way to write smart contracts, because you'll be able to compile it in Rust, C++, Golang. There's going to be a lot of options for that. Calamari, they actually, I believe, won like the 6th parachain auction, and they're going to be a privacy blockchain pretty much. They'll allow data to be transferred between the parachains privately. And I think a lot of people are excited for the Polkadot version of that, which is Manta, the Manta network. Bifrost is one of the more interesting and unique projects that is launched on Kusama. Their liquidity protocol that allows you to, instead of locking up your Polkadot, you'll have access to a liquid version of it. So you're not stuck, you know, staking and locking up for 28 days. And all these have actually locked up close to 20%, I think, or yeah, 20% of the supply for Kusama. And that has added a lot of value. That's pretty much it for the presentation. If you're interested in learning more, of course, you can always check out our TalkPolkadot.com website. We have a lot of information on there, compiled and aggregated, and we've sourced it pretty accurately. A lot of the, let's see, stuff. A lot of the information we've sourced comes directly from Parity, Gavin Wood, or like the projects that we're talking about themselves. And of course, we always host stuff on the Twitter space, trying to bring more attention to Polkadot. And then if you do sound or if you're interested in learning more about Talk Polkadot and what we offer, you can check out our YouTube and see kind of how we put out that information. So I do appreciate everyone for coming out and even just joining the forum. I definitely learned a lot of things here, and it was very enjoyable to kind of hear more seasoned professionals than me come in and talk. I'm sure it was a lot. I'm sad I kind of missed the first half. I definitely wanted to catch it, but being in America, it's just it's very early, and the kids do not like that. So, but does anyone have any questions about Polkadot and the opportunities it has?
You can take a look at the chat. I think some people have asked some questions.
Oh yes. Hi Judge, the session was one I was most looking for today. Thank you for this fantastic. Quite a few Cosmos and have a branch out with the release of new Polkadot parachains. That's Mr. Preek. Thank you for that question, Preek. So what does it do differently? I think the biggest difference would be that Polkadot has the shared security aspect. So once you connect to the relay chain, your network is secured pretty much by the relay chain. Whereas Cosmos, and forgive me, I'm not as familiar with these projects. I'm totally dove deep into Polkadot and didn't really worry about these other blockchains. So from my understanding though, Cosmos and AVAX don't have a shared security model. Their security relies on kind of like the weakest version of their pair chain that connects to their version of the relay chain. That is not good in a security model, just because the way that Polkadot works, I'm sorry, this is pretty early for me. Stayed up late getting this done and everything, so I lost my train of thought. But pretty much it's the shared security aspect. I'm not going to speak on blockchains I don't really know a lot about, but from my understanding, those two don't have a shared security model as strong as Polkadot. Can I drop my LinkedIn? Yes, actually I can. Let me get that for you. How can we get in touch with you on LinkedIn? Just posted it, and my full name, Judge Lucich. Judge is my real name. My parents love Judge Dredd, so of course they went with that name, and I definitely appreciate it. I love the new movies and the old movies alike in the comics, so it's very enjoyable.
That's fine. Anybody else have any questions? I think we coming to the end of the inaugural World Binance Forum here. Wrap up a little bit, but maybe we have time for one more question. If not, then I see a couple of people just joined. So thanks for coming. I think that we also have Judge will be interested in the World Polkadot Forum coming up. I think it's December 2nd.
Oh yes,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of people, sort of creators and developers and other active players in that space talking in that. And check out Unit Conference. I think it's .com or .org. We have a bunch of other conferences coming up too. I think there's the next one is a couple of days. I forgot now, but there's a whole lot of them. So as we build this out, this will be hundreds of people on this Zoom in 6 months for the Binance Smart Chain Forum, the Ethereum Forum, and the Bitcoin Forum, as we really grow Unit and get the machine working. We're raising capital, so that's all going on at the same time. So thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.